this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super, Goku, Vegeta, and future Trunks do battle with Zamasu and his other evil counterpart, Goku Black, otherwise known as Zamasu. And you know what? For the rest of this review, I am just going to refer to Goku Black as simply just Black and Zamasu as Zamasu, despite the fact that they are technically the same character. This episode was insane. Not only did we get official confirmations on how Black was created, but this episode had one of the best cliffhangers I've seen from Dragon Ball Super, as it looks like future Trunks is about to get one hell of a super upgrade. He might even have attained the power of a Super Saiyan God, albeit a little differently from Goku and Vegeta. We'll get to that in a second. Let's talk a little bit about the origins of Goku Black. So, apparently, in the future, the Zamasu that looks like Zamasu is the one that's been in that universe the entire time. And what this means is that Black is actually a Zamasu from the past who used the Super Dragon Balls to switch bodies with Goku. He killed his master Gawas, and he even killed Goku's entire family. There's a scene where you actually get to see their bodies switch with each other, and it is strange, especially considering that they keep the same voices. So you're gonna get Goku in Zamasu's body with all of his personality, just wondering, what the hell is going on? Why am I green and why do I have a mohawk? When suddenly you have Black who appears all dressed in Zamasu's clothing. They actually do wear each other's clothing, by the way, and then he just wipes him out and kills him. So we now have this alternate version of Zamasu who became Black, who traveled to the future with the time rings so that he can meet a future version of himself and team up with him to destroy all of humanity. Make sense? The good thing is, after all of this, we finally get some action, and this week's episode was pretty damn awesome, to say the least. It wasn't a perfect episode of Dragon Ball Super, but I don't really think there's been a perfect episode quite yet. But in terms of the fighting choreography and the overall destruction, I'm pretty damn happy, especially with some of the moves that Goku Black pulled off in this episode, especially that sword attack that he hit Goku with in this episode. Goku was already severely damaged in the beginning of the battle by getting hit point blank and having the sword actually go through his body, but as the episode went on, you got to see that he was getting even more pissed off when he learned about the death of his family in the past. However, despite being super pissed off and awesome, Black unleashes this ability where he makes this giant blade, this giant key sword, which shoots all of these different blades into Goku's body, which then come back right to him. He does a cool pose, and then they explode right on Goku, sending him down and seemingly being defeated. Goku was utterly defeated in this episode, and that is messed up. In many ways, it is not fair that Zamasu is immortal. I mean, he really displays some serious shit in this episode. I especially love how the battle actually opened up with Goku actually flying towards Zamasu and hitting him point blank with a ki blast right in the face, and you can see that his face is completely gone, but it immediately starts to come back. Zamasu even allows himself to be a human shield for Black. The scene where he gets right in front of Goku, Black appears right behind him and stabs his sword right through Zamasu's body just so he can get to Goku. I also love when they do synchronized ki blasts where they can combine their two blasts together to make it even more devastating and powerful. Their fighting is great. It's definitely some of the most unique stuff that I've seen from Dragon Ball in a long time, especially that whole ki sword. Vegeta, unfortunately, is downplayed in this episode. They should have made him do so much more. He should have been way more pissed off and just badass in this episode, but really it's all saved because at the very end of the episode, Trunks is hit with a big ki blast to the stomach and just gets completely pissed off. He goes through this transformation sequence, which is unlike anything that we've seen in the series thus far, although it is reminiscent of things that we have seen. His eyes go completely white, kind of like Broly from the movies, and he also seems to have this like thin, godlike aura around his body, which is blue. It's like a combination of just regular Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan Blue. I don't know what's going on here, but he looks devastatingly powerful at the end of the episode, and might have unlocked something that we haven't seen quite yet. All I know is, I cannot wait for the next episode of Dragon Ball Super. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of DBS? This was a very satisfying episode of Dragon Ball Super. We got to learn where Black came from, even though it is still slightly confusing with all of the different parallel timelines and dimensions and all that jazz. just get Doc Brown to explain it to you with a freaking chalkboard. But still, this episode right here was definitely defined, again, by its ridiculous action, which, like I said, was pretty good for the most part. I think the most interesting thing of this episode, though, has to be the ending, though, when Trunks finally powers up and shows off this brand new form that we haven't seen, some weird combination of Super Saiyan Blue and Super Saiyan. It looks really awesome, and he looks really, really scary, so I can't wait to see how powerful he's actually going to be in the next couple of episodes. Although, we all know that they always release the episode information about Dragon Ball Super early, so there's already a lot of spoilers out there, so if you want to find them, go find them. I really don't like talking about spoilers all that much, as mostly I just like to be surprised when I watch it in the episode, and that's really the best thing. I don't like going into this knowing exactly what's going to happen. I had no idea Trunks was going to do anything like this in this episode. I thought he was just going to be a complete chump. Instead, he's turning into the new kid on the block. He's always surprising people with his brand new forms, and this one is going to be awesome. What I really, really loved about this episode, though, was just Black and Zamasu. Zamasu and Zamasu. Watching them interact with each other, how they're perfectly in sync. Not to mention that really cheesy hug scene. You guys know what I'm talking about. When we get to see when Black actually met the future Zamasu, and he kills Gowas right there in front of him, and he reveals that I am you from a different time period, we're gonna take over shit. They instantly just hug each other, and it's so strange. Let's face it, it's only a matter of time before they start making out. Probably my favorite thing about this episode, though, is that it gave me this incredible nostalgic feeling. Like the days of when I used to watch Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, getting home from school and desperately making sure I got home in time to watch the new episode. This episode also just had a lot of moments which reminded me of classic Dragon Ball Z, like when Goku was getting super pissed off about learning that his family was gone, powering up, and then instantly taking charge of the battle, and of course the cliffhanger ending with Trunks in his brand new form. This was a fantastic and classic episode of Dragon Ball Super. It's definitely just the appetizer before we get to the main course of this big battle, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with it. There's going to be a lot of twists and turns, not to mention a lot of big information was dropped in this episode. The fact that Black has pretty much killed every single god in the future by killing all of the Kaioshin. But what about Zeno? Doesn't he still exist in this universe? Isn't he going to be a little concerned that these two Kaioshin are going around and just annihilating everything? Maybe there's going to be another twist with that. Maybe Goku will actually end up calling Zeno with that weird little button. I'm just really anxious to see what they're going to do with the rest of this arc, and I'm just going to kick back, relax, and watch it unfold. This was a great episode of Dragon Ball Super. It was hampered by a little bit of some bad production and some shoddy artwork in a few scenes. I cannot accept that all the time. There were just a few moments this week where the characters looked fugly, but for the most part, this was a super satisfying episode of Dragon Ball Super. I'm giving this week's episode a 4 out of 5. Check it out, Dragon Ball fans. You might see something you like. If any of you did watch the episode, tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. What did you think about learning about the backstory of Goku Black? Are you enjoying the battle with these two characters? And what's the deal with future Trunks? What sort of transformation is he going through? Has he truly become a Super Saiyan God? You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching this review. I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, and like the video. Thank you again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.